Hey guys, welcome back. We are here again today with Big Shoes and Type 1D. I did a poll on Twitter and I saw that a lot of different players from Pokemon Unite wanted to see new playable Mons. So today we're going to go ahead and give our ideas of what we think would be awesome in Pokemon Unite. So who's ready for? All right, Big Shoes and Type 1D, how you guys doing today?
Yeah,
Feeling big.
that's my job.
So what we did was we decided to take this opportunity to show a little bit of creativity we have for Pokemon itself as well, and we each made characters that we would like to see come into Pokemon Unite in the future. You guys ready for yours?
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm ready, Freddy.
All right, I'm gonna get us started off, and I'm gonna try to set the pace for this. Hopefully, we can share our ideas with you guys and get some likes on this video. So I started with Sizzor, and I thought Sizzor would make a great defender. His passive would be Swarm. When his health is 1/3 or lower, it gains a basic attack power of an extra 33%. Now, as for his special moves, he would start off in his first slot for Agility, which is a dash that Zeraora also has. You could easily replace this at level 5, and it would be either Bullet Punch, which is a dash that increases the user speed by 25% for 3 seconds after the move was used, or you could replace it with Metal Claw, also a dash, powerful forward dash that also increases the user's attack by 25% for 3 seconds after the move is used. Then second on his other special would be Pursuit. Now this would be the same as Absols. You could come from behind, snag somebody from behind a little bit. This could be replaced at level 7, and it could be replaced with either Iron Defense, which means the user and the closest ally with the lowest health receive a barrier of 50% of this Pokemon's max health until the next hit on you lands. Or you can change it out for Faint. The user becomes invincible for 6 seconds after use, also gains speed for 6 seconds, and the next 3 basic attacks do 33% more damage. Now, it wasn't super creative. I just wanted to set the tone for the video. Obviously, there are other Mons that know these moves as well. Some of them, of course. But that's kind of the process we're trying to figure out here. Now, they may have gone into a little more detail than I have, and that's totally fine. I wanted to get the creativity out and show other players that it is possible to create these kinds of ideas on your own, and possibly have you guys throw them in the comments what you would love to see. So why don't we go ahead and get started on Type 1D? Why don't you share with us your first Mon?
My first Mon, I'm going to have to go. With Pokemon, I am a big fan of Hoenn, so we're going to have to go with the bestest starter, in my opinion, and that would be Swampert. I believe he would go into the all-round category because based off of just how he plays as a Pokemon, he has good bulk, but he also does decent damage, so I felt as though that'd be the best area for him. I believe as a level 1 Mudkip, he would either get the choice between a Water Gun or Mud Slap for his first move, and then at level 3, he would also get the other one, of course. The Water Gun, it would be more of like a Slowbros where you can hold it out and it does more damage the further out it goes. Mud Slap, it would have a cooldown of 4 seconds, and whenever you hit your enemy, it's kind of like Gibble's Sand Attack, but it just does damage. So your accuracy is lowered, but it still does a decent chunk. For the cooldown on the Water Gun, of course, it'd be 6 seconds due to it having more of the damage output on that. I believe at level 5, he should be able to evolve into his Marstomp, and you get the choice between either Ice Punch or Earthquake. Ice Punch would have a 7-second cooldown, where Earthquake has an 8. The Ice Punch, it would allow you basically to go behind the Pokemon. You punch them, and you can possibly freeze them, allowing you to just stun them, get some extra damage off, because, crowd controls everything in this game. Or you could do Earthquake, where it jumps up, slam to the ground, and you just stun them again, of course. This one does a little more damage, but it's also more risky, so the cooldown, of course, will be a little more higher. I then believe the next move he can unlock as his special would be Surf. That one would be a 9-second cooldown. It'd be kind of like the Blastoise. He rides onto it and pushes forward, of course, against doing stun. Or you could do Waterfall. This one is a personal favorite. This would have a high cooldown rate of 10 seconds, but this one, basically, he would go down under the ground, jump up, and he would take whoever's with him, kind of like a mini version of Charizard's ult, and slam down to the ground, slowing the enemy for at least a second while you can do, and you get a boosted attack. At level 9, this is my favorite for him. It's going to be his ult. I call this continental mudslide. I call it an area of attack kind of ult. He'll basically jump into the air, crash down, causing a little earthquake with muddy water to go out around him. And any Pokemon that's in the AoE that's an enemy that gets hit will slow down. And for the next 3 seconds, any basic attacks they try to use will be slowed as well. And for his ability or his passive, I did Torrent. So when he gets to 1/3 of his health, he has boosted basic attacks up to at least 25%. I mean, Swampert's amazing. Have you ever seen his shiny? He's just a pink, magenta, lovable, puffy boy.
Yeah,
He's going to terrify fear into you with love.
I definitely liked your take on Swampert Type 1. How about you go ahead and take it over for your first one, Big Shoes?
For my first one, I'm going to get the hardest one out of the way for me to figure out, and that was Delibird. Delibird used to be my favorite Pokemon through some changes and stuff like that. He's not anymore, but I don't think he ever gets any love in any game, so I tried to make him a good support. And I put Defender question mark in here because when you guys see this, you might think there's some abilities that feel more defendery than supporty, but I'm going to get right into it. So I chose to do their passive attacks, and for him, he's normally a melee. Like, he has to get up, he has to hit them with melee attacks, but every 6 seconds, he gets a boosted attack where he will throw one of his gifts out from his bag, and it becomes a ranged attack, and it deals increased damage. So every 6 seconds, you get a little bit of poke in lane. His ability is going to be Hustle. What it does is anytime you affect an ally with an ability, you increase their damage for 4 seconds. Whenever you affect an enemy with an ability, you reduce their damage for 2 seconds, and you can only ever affect them with that every 6 seconds. The moves, they can be learned at level 1 and 2, and the first one is Counter. What it does is when you use it, you have a small hitbox in front of you, like almost like a cone, and anything that's standing in front of that cone for like the next 3 seconds, if they go to hit you, you will double that damage back to them. So let's say like a Zero pops on you, goes to hit you with like a really hard hitting move, or like just like his third attack bonus damage. If you're able to pop your counter up fast enough, you will still take the damage, but then you hit him with double whatever the damage that hits back with you. It's got a 7-second cooldown, and then the second one is Rapid Spin. I put that on a 6-second cooldown, and it will do a small circle of damage around you. It doesn't do very much damage at all, because the purpose of this ability is if you're hindered at all, stunned, knocked up, slowed, when you pop Rapid Spin, you clear all hindrances on you. So it's kind of like a full heal almost. Then to replace Rapid Spin, level 4 is when you gain this, and it's Protect. It's got a 9-second cooldown. You can use it on yourself or any allied Pokemon, and it prevents the next damaging special move that would hit you. It lasts for 3 seconds. So basically, you want like a Greninja to come in and do some really cool plays. You put that on him. It's almost like Safeguard from Blitzy, except for it just ignores the first special move that's used on him. It upgrades at level 7. If it prevents damage, you also gain a shield based on the damage that it absorbed or that it prevented. Then going into Rain Dance is another move that can replace Counter. Same level 4. It's got a 9-second cooldown. And Rain Dance will last for 4 seconds, and it's going to be about a medium-sized circle on the ground. Probably, it won't cover the entire lane, but it'll cover a majority of the lane in a circular area. If an allied Pokemon steps into it, they get slowly healed, almost like the health regen platform. If an enemy steps into it, they take a little bit of damage as they stay in it, and they become wet. It's like a status effect that I have for one of his other abilities later on. They also get slowed too, and then it upgrades at level 7. Allies will gain movement speed running through it, and enemies' special defenses are reduced. So moving on, in order to replace Rapid Spin, we have Freeze Dried. It's on a 5-second cooldown. Freeze Dried does damage in a small area and slows enemy Pokemon. If they're wet from Rain Dance, it doubles the amount of damage and it freezes them. And then it upgrades at level 9, increases the damage and increases the slow and the how long they stay frozen for. And then the last one that you can choose to replace out for Rapid Spin is Dual Wing Beat. It's got an 8-second cooldown. It can get replaced at level 6, and Dual Wing Beat does like a line, almost like Bulbasaur's Razor Leaf. And he basically smacks his wings twice, and that each smack will push the enemy further away. So that way you have some kind of disengage or peel for your teammates. And then upgrading it just increases the amount of push and the amount of damage. That'll be done, and that upgrades at level 9. And then to his Unite move, I've got that going off at level 10 is when he'll get it. And I didn't have a special name for it. I couldn't think of one, but I had to incorporate his move present. It had to be in there because that's Delibird's signature move. So what he does is he becomes unstoppable. He slows himself down by, I'm thinking like, it's got to be a hefty amount, like 75%. Like he's waddling at this point. What he does is he starts just randomly, rapidly throwing gifts out of his bag. And there's going to be a certain number. I haven't really determined that yet. I'm thinking maybe like 10. And it'll be random. So you could have one ult that goes off and you could throw damage dealing ones, or you could have it's just going to be all mixed up. But if you pull an item out of your bag and it's a heal, it goes to the nearest ally, and it's a pretty decent heal. I'm thinking like the first chunk of a Blitzy Hardboil heal before the dot heal that goes on after that. But if he pulls out a damaging one, he throws it towards an enemy. Now, I'm not going to make them instantly hit, but it will go towards the area and kind of track the enemy. If it lands, and when it lands, it explodes. If there's an enemy there, it will always throw them away from Delibird, and it'll do a certain amount of damage. So this ultimate's really going to be for like going in for the Zapdos fight, keeping your teammates alive, and trying to keep the enemy team out from Zapdos and peeling off as much as I can. I went a little too crazy with mine. I'm sorry.
Man.
I like it because it like has a balance. I was trying really hard not to make him broken because I'm like, we could do this and this, and I'm like, wait, that just makes it overpowered. It'll get nerfed immediately, so let's just not.
Hey man, you know what? All three of those sounded really good. I'm gonna open up a little 2-minute conversation here over any questions. I actually have one. Big Shoes, if you had to give a name to your ultimate, what would it be?
I think it would have to be Gift Roulette. Because it's all about like you don't know what's going to happen, and it can either do nothing or it could be really amazing for a team fight.
That's awesome. What other questions we got for each other?
Where's Sizzor's ultimate at?
So I'm an idiot and I took a screenshot of my layout here, and it's actually at the bottom below the screen, but I couldn't see it, so I just didn't even bring it up during the video. But I'm thinking that a version of Mach Punch would be really cool. You could almost make it like Wild Charge for Zeraora, where you just do multiple dashes, hitting as many opponents as you possibly can. And I mean, it's a defender, so I can't imagine it would be super strong. There's not a whole lot of defenders that have an ultimate that are ridiculously strong. But that's kind of... Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. You're right. I still wouldn't make it very strong, though. I mean, this is made to be defender style. I mean, Iron Defense in itself, the user and the closest ally, lowest health, blah, blah. You're mostly trying to go for that defense, and anything you use for that first special is just about boosting up a little bit of speed or a little bit of attack. And it might even be cool if you chose Metal Claw. That means that your Mach Punch does more damage versus like if you chose Bullet Punch to raise your speed, you could actually gain an extra dash off of that. I think that would be really cool.
Okay.
I actually have a question for Swampert as well, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So you chose Torrent. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail about my next Mon, but at the same time, I actually chose a hidden ability because I felt like the Mon that I'm going to explain next for my part, which I'm not going next, but I didn't like the main concept of the passive. Why did you choose Torrent versus the hidden ability that it could have in other games?
I chose the ability Torrent for the simple fact his strongest move is going to be either his Surf or Waterfall, for the simple fact he's a water type and that boosts the water type attacks. And then his AoE, his Unite move, would still also be considered a water type attack. So if his health's low enough, he can dish out a decent chunk of damage off of that alone. I do have a question for you, actually, Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Why Iron Defense?
Well, first of all, I thought about the move Protect, but every Pokemon knows the move Protect. In my mind, and we even discussed Protect when Big Shoes was talking about Delibird, I had a different idea in mind for Protect. It was basically just an all-out block like Snorlax has, but instead of just blocking the enemy like Snorlax does, it blocks literally everything. So it was like a coin flip. You better hope you don't have a Talonflame on your team to go through your Protect, because it's not going to happen. Now, that was my rendition of Protect move, and I actually have a Mon in here on my squad that does have the move Protect, and that's how I actually have it made up as. So I chose Iron Defense because I wanted it to be a little more, I don't know, supporty, if that's the word I want to use.
More team beneficial?
Yeah, I'll do that. More about helping the team versus hindering the team, because protect is such a, in my rendition of it, a coin flip.
Okay.
I might have missed it too, but this one's for challenge too in Sizzor. What level does he evolve from Scyther, or does he just start off as Sizzor?
No. He would evolve from Scyther at level 4, which is typically the evolution stage of each of these single stage evolutions. So like gotcha. Vulpix with Ninetales, Chansey with Blissey. I kind of just stuck it in there to kind of make sense like that. I didn't think it would be too necessary. I don't really see this being a super overpowerful, super team beneficial mon. It just so happens to be one of my 3 favorite Pokemon of all time. So I wanted to add it because I love it so much, and I wanted to give it the attention it deserved, even if that doesn't mean it comes into the game anytime soon.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yes, I do have one final question, and this one is for you, Shoes.
Oh.
What was behind the concept for the dual wing beat? I like where you basically had it for kind of an escape, where when he hits it, he bounces back with each hit. What gave you that idea? I'm actually kind of curious, because I would not have thought of that, but I really like it.
So I may have actually said it wrong, because he doesn't he doesn't jump backwards. I do like that. So what he does is basically when he swings his wings in, he's going to do it twice because the move hits twice, and he doesn't push back. He pushes enemies away.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, dual wing beat was only in there because Delibird does not have any good moves to pick from. I don't know if Challenger said it, but I do believe we were told that we only had from their move list from the like actual games to choose from, or at least that's what I tried to do. And Delibird's moves, he's got some really, really weird moves that he learns.
I agree.
When you picked him, I was massively concerned about that front. Like, what does he learn specifically anyway? Like pound, present, growl, tail whip, stuff like that?
Yeah, he learns present at level 1, and he doesn't learn his next move till level 25. And it's rapid spin, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
he's so bad.
He's a funky Pokemon.
I think you did a really good job with what you had there. I'm actually genuinely excited to see what you come up with next for your next one. And we are going to actually jump straight into type 1. You're going to go ahead and start us off with the next round of Mons. I would like for you to give us your take on number 2.
I think I'll start with Escavalier. He's a different Mon here. I believe he's more tanky, so I chose him as a defender class. I did a little bit different whenever it comes to his moveset and evolution, of course. So I'll start off with his passive first. I believe his passive should be Iron Barbs. I would like to think, because whenever it's traded between the fight between the two Pokemon, his armor got a little damaged, so it's got scraps, bumps, and all that, and then you touch it hurts. So basically a couple of attacks that hit him, he does a minor Rocky Helmet, basically. He does maybe 2% damage to the basic attack, goes back to the enemy. I believe as a Karrablast, he should get between either 2 moves, and I decided either Infestation or Spikes. The Spikes, basically what they would do, he throws them onto the ground, and for about 2 seconds, they're sitting there, and the Pokemon that stays in it, they just take consistent damage over time. Or Infestation, which he can get at level 3, either one, whichever vice versa. It aims to a target Pokemon, and when he grabs them for 3 seconds as well, he has them stuck, and they're just taking consistent damage from the Infestation. I believe at level 5, he should evolve. Just for the simple fact he does do a chip damage rather than heavy damage, and defenders seem to not level up until later in the game. I think he should get the option between either Iron Head or Mega Horn. Iron Head would have an 8-second cooldown, where Mega Horn would have 10. Obviously the Iron Head, he would do basically a full-blown headbutt, and it would stun the Pokemon into the air, and while it's doing that, he can sit there and just beat the crap out of them. They're just stuck for about 2 to 3 seconds. Or Mega Horn, what I think is he just does a straight-on full charge, kind of like a smaller version of Talonflame's ult, and anyone that gets stuck in that goes with him, and they're unable to move once that is done, and he gains a small shield afterwards, due to the fact just to keep building his bulkiness up. I do believe his next move then should be at level 8, and I chose between Flash Cannon for a 7-second cooldown, or Struggle Bug for a 7.5-second cooldown. I believe the flash cannon should be kind of like what Moonblast does with Gardevoir, where you hit them, it stuns them, and they can't move. Whenever that happens, you can just walk up to them. It gives you enough time to start beating them up, you know. Go ahead and do the Meghorn right after, so that way it's just a big chunk of damage gone right off the bat. Struggle Bug, I believe, what should happen is when he does, it's kind of like a self-healing for him. Whenever that goes off, it lowers the Pokemon's attack, but he gains a little bit of health back from doing it. Here's my favorite part of him, is his Unite move, and I think he should get this at level 9 like normal. I like to call this one like Knightly Manner, because he's basically a knight Pokemon, at least that's from what I see, where he has his 2 jousts in his arms. What he does is, whenever you activate this, he will jump into front of the weakest ally that's closest to him, and when he does that, he absorbs a certain amount of damage from the enemy that is beating up on that Pokemon, and then afterwards, when he's about to finish, he charges through to them, dealing damage on the way, and he passes 15% of the damage taken to that Pokemon, and they get a shield as well from it.
That's awesome. All right, so now we're going to move on to Big Shoes. Why don't you go ahead and give us your rendition of number 2?
All right. So I am going to do actually Plusle and Minun as 2 Pokemon in one, because
Wait,
you don't
what?
really see one.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do 2 Pokemon in one. You play them together.
You got my attention.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and you can expect some questions after I'm done giving mine.
All right, so Plusle and Minun, it's going to be a really unique, because instead of it being like a special attacker or an attacker, they're actually both in one. I'm going to have Plusle being an attacker and Minun being a special attacker, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. Plusle is going to be short range, not necessarily melee, but it's going to be kind of like a up close, I should say. And every third auto attack for Plusle becomes a boosted attack, which increases the damage, and it will increase their attack speed for a certain amount of time. It'll also put a stacking charge on an opposing Pokemon, and there'll be like little charge indicators to a maximum of 3 charges. If their charges are already maxed on Plusle, when he goes to put an additional charge on, it'll actually just heal Minun for a percentage, because once I get into the ability, I'll explain how their health bars work. But for Minun's basic attack passive, it's already long ranged. It has increased range, and if the opposing Pokemon has max charges on it, they are stunned for a duration when Minun auto attacks, and then a percentage is healed on Plusle. And that's the stun's got a 6-second cooldown, because so they can't just keep stacking charges and keep stunning people down before they get out of the stun. The ability is called Tag Team, which this is the only one that I kind of faux pawed a little bit, because obviously Plusle and Minun don't have an ability called Tag Team, but they share a health pool. Now how that works is, for the purposes of trying to explain how this works, Blitzy has 10,000 hit points. So if Plusle and Minun have 10,000 hit points, Plusle will have 5,000 and Minun will have 5,000. If you have Plusle in the forefront and his health depletes all the way down to 0, it'll automatically switch you to Minun, and Plusle will faint for a period of time based on the game's timer. So obviously we know the longer the game goes, the higher the death timers are, or the respawn timers. So you have to wait that full respawn time, and if you can do that with Minun still being alive, Plusle will just pop back with full health. If both Pokemon faint though, even if Plusle, let's say Plusle faints, you get kicked into Minun, and then Plusle has like 1 second left on the respawn timer, and then Minun faints, it'll actually reset the whole respawn timer. So you have a huge disadvantage with this Pokemon, but I kind of tried to work that in to make it more balanced. They also do have a secondary passive, because I had to add this. Plusle has Plus, which as long as Minun is alive, he gains bonus attack damage, and Minun has Minus, which is as long as Plusle's alive, he gains special attack damage. They're just, as long as you keep them both alive, you'll just gain bonus damage. But for the early level moves, you can either learn Baton Pass at level 1 or 3. It's got an 8-second cooldown, and it swaps between Plusle and Minun, and it removes any CC. So how this works is you're not controlling both Pokemon at the same time. You'll have one Pokemon at the forefront, one Pokemon in the back. And Baton Pass will make it so you can swap Plusle out for Minun and start using, because they have different moves depending on which one's out. And that will remove any CC when you use Baton Pass. The secondary move is for both of them. So this is where things start to get a little complicated, because at level 1 or 3, you can pick Nuzzle for Plusle. Nuzzle is a close range move. He dashes forward, deals a small amount of damage, and heavily slows the opposing Pokemon while adding a charge to the enemy Pokemon. Thunder Wave is Minun's first ability, and so when you pick, let's say you start off with Plusle in the game, if you pick Nuzzle, it will automatically pick Thunder Wave for them. just so that way there's not a lot of hecticness where you have to swap, like use baton pass, swap out, level up. That made it try to be like a really smooth transition. But for mine and Thunder Wave is a medium range skill shot. It hits the first enemy Pokemon, whether that be a player or just a wild Pokemon, and it does damage and it slows for 2 seconds. It's a pretty large slow too. At level 4, Volt Switch, but Baton Pass is replaced with Volt Switch, and that is like their universal move. So Baton Pass and Volt Switch are like both used by Plusle and Minun. When Volt Switch is used, Plusle does a cone damage in front of them. Plusle will dash backwards, and that's when Minun will switch out. So then now you have access to Minun's abilities. If Minun uses Volt Switch, he jumps forward, and he deals like damage in his pathway and switches to Plusle. So you can kind of see how the synergy works. Plusle wants to be up in front fighting the enemies, getting those charges on them. Plusle will switch out, Minun will be in the distance, dealing special attacks from a long range, proccing all those charges, and dealing increased damage with the charges. Going into the moves, at level 5, you replace Nuzzle from Plusle with Charge. Charge is a short-ranged move in front of him, almost like a cone. Deals pretty solid damage, and it'll add a stack of charge to any opposing Pokemon in that cone. And upgrading it at level 9 does increase damage. I don't want to get too crazy with it. If you decide not to do... If you grab Charge, this is the only way I can make this balanced, too. So that way, because like I was trying to figure out, well, how hard would that be to level up 2 separate Pokemon mid-fight? Because it's already kind of difficult to get those upgrades, or like choosing which ability you want. So only with Plusle and Minun, like let's say you choose Charge for Plusle, it will automatically give you Discharge, which is Minun's move that he learns. It's got a 7-second cooldown, and Discharge is a long-ranged, and it automatically hits. So whatever you target, it's kind of like Pikachu's Electro Ball. And it deals more damage the more charges are on a Pokemon. A 25% increase per damage per charge, so a maximum, if you discharge, it will do 75% increased damage, but you lose all the charges on that Pokemon. Level 12, it does increased damage. Then if you go back to Plusle, you can either, if you didn't choose Charge, you can choose Fake Tears. Fake Tears has a 6-second cooldown. Deals a small amount of damage around Plusle, and all enemy Pokemon that are affected have their special defenses lowered. And if it's upgraded, they're also stunned, and they take increased damage. Or no, the damage is increased on it, my bad. If you take Fake Tears for Plusle, that automatically has you take Charge Beam for Minun. And Charge Beam is a long-ranged line skill shot. At level 12, it does increase damage, and if you charge the beam up all the way, it increases the width of the charge of the beam, so that way you can hit more targets with it. And then the Unite move I came up with them is called, this one, I actually came up with a good name, I think. It's called High Voltage Hide and Seek. So how it starts off, as soon as you press the button, Minun will stand in the middle of a big circle and become unstoppable. Plusle will then start to jump to enemies in the circle. And if he hits, like when he hits them, he automatically puts max stacks of charges on them from his passive, and he will proc the attack boost. So you'll start healing Minun. Minun will then start to shoot blasts at Plusle. But if the enemies are in the area, it will hit them, it will remove all stacks of charge and deal increased damage, kind of like his Discharge. And it will also proc his attack boost too. And I think that's it.
Before we go any further, though, I love that name, Hyperbolic Hide and Seek. That is probably the best thing I've heard all day.
High Voltage Hide and Seek. You're making me look like a chump over here, bro. Dude, literally, listen. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 36 lines of text on Notepad on my iPhone for my next Pokemon. 36
You got 36?
lines.
I only have 6 lines for each Pokemon, bro.
Now, I kind of went into a little bit of detail on each one of the moves, but bro,
Do your best, and do your best, and all I have to say is, if that's not your favorite one,
No.
I'm scared to go after whatever you have next.
Well, the sad part is you are going after whatever he has next. Wait, no, it's still
Dick
me.
move. You do your last Mon, then him, then me.
Holy cow, man! I don't know how I'm gonna follow that up, but I'm gonna do my absolute best.
Before we get into it, never mind.
Oh man,
You just need to start making Mons, dude. If you have ideas like that, dude, I would see that game go far.
Game Freak, hire big shoes. Anyway, I don't know how I'm supposed to go after that. That is absolutely insane. But I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to try to throw some stuff on the fly too, because there's no way I can compete with that. And it's sad because this next Mon is my second favorite Mon of all time. The only Mon I did not put on here that's on my favorites list is my number 1 favorite Pokemon, and that's Umbreon. I mean, my channel is Eevee because Eevee evolves into Umbreon, but like, wow, man, that's incredible. My Mon number 2 is actually Sceptile. Sceptile is a speedster, special attack ranged. I decided to go for the untypical passive of Unburden. Now, what Unburden is going to do is whatever battle item you decide to take into the match, you're going to be able to use that battle item, and you're going to gain 50% of speed boost. Depending on the item will depend on the duration of the speed boost. I know I'm going to get questions on that, but we're getting there. It's going to start the battle with your choice of either Bullet Seed or Pound, 1 and 3, of course. Now, after level 5, which is when you get your first evolution into Grovyle, you're going to have the choice of either Leaf Storm or Leaf Blade. And Leaf Blade I'm actually kind of excited about, but I'm going to do Leaf Storm first because it's easier to explain. Leaf Storm is just a projectile line, almost exactly like Venusaur's Razor Leaf, only obviously more powerful. Supercharged power attack. For a short time after the attack, you lose some of your special attack power. Now, the cooldown on this is to be determined. I didn't really go into detail that much about the duration of time for you to get your special attack back. However, it's not the one I'm the most excited about anyway. The one that I'm the most excited about is actually Leaf Blade. Now, as you guys, if you can remember, I actually made Sceptile a speedster. I did this for a very specific reason because I think Leaf Blade would be a phenomenal way to completely demolish not your side of the jungle, but your opponents and the neutral mons that show up in the middle. Let me explain. This is a lower power move. When you're facing up against opponents, this may not be the move you want to go after. This is more of a farming type move. High crit chance. This move, when used to finish off wild mons in your opponent's territory, gains a 100% damage gain on this move for future uses until your next death. So whenever you're able to go into your opponent's jungle or your opponent's line is starting to back off a little bit, when you steal one of their mons from them, this move becomes stronger technically than Leaf Storm. There is no cap on the level of how many times you can do this. The only problem is you have to stay alive long enough to keep getting these buffs. So every single time you steal one, you keep getting a boost in attack power. Now, the second move you're going to start off with at 1 or 3 is going to be Pound, and that's obviously the same as Chansey. This mon is not meant to be an extremely powerful mon at first. You're supposed to build it. The first move that you can replace it with at level 7, which is when your second stage evolution comes in for Sceptile, you can change it from Pound to either Energy Ball, which does increased damage to all wild Pokemon. When this move hits an opponent, they have decreased speed for a small amount of time. And when I say small, I mean very, very small. I didn't want to make this thing super overpowered for no reason where it couldn't be countered, but I did want to give it a little bit of a gimmicky feel, being my second favorite Pokemon. I wanted it to do a lot of cool things. The second move that it could do, and this is where I drew a hard blank, was I decided to go for Double Team. I think that Greninja works Double Team extremely well. I think it fits Sceptile to a degree as well. While it is not a ninja, Double Team is still a huge thing for actually what I'm calling its alt, which I'll get there in a second. But Double Team creates 2 copies of the user. Now this version of Double Team is going to be very specific. I'm not necessarily sure if Greninja does this or not. But no matter what move you decide to pick for your first move slot, whether that's Leaf Storm or Leaf Blade, it does not matter. when you use double team, your copies will actually use the other move you did not choose on this mon, which is the energy ball, which causes your opponent to be slow. So technically you're gonna have energy ball while you're also using double team. Now, the reason I brought up Greninja is because of the water shuriken. I'm not sure if you choose surf, if it actually changes your copy's attack that it uses to attack your opponents. But other than the alt move, which I'm actually really excited about, it's called Treetop Terror. And what it does is it jumps straight up into the sky and it comes crashing down. And when it crashes onto the ground, it actually stuns everybody around it. And you see these little animations of tree roots coming out. If there is anybody in the range of those tree roots, it actually smacks them up against the closest wall, stunning them for a couple seconds. And it has them drop orbs regardless of if they died or not. And those orbs cannot be reobtained by the same person.
Ooh.
So that was actually it for Sceptile. We are actually going to open it up now for round 2's questions. Who would like to start off?
Me.
Go ahead, type 1.
Alright, this one will actually be for you. When it becomes to the ability or the passive, I believe when you said Unburden, I would like to know, is it the stronger it is depending on like the items? So for example, like say X attack has a 40-second cooldown, so say for example, just a rough estimate, that'd be like a 30% buff right there, whereas eject button has like an 80 to 90-second cooldown. Would that then make it maybe say like 50%?
Okay, so this is how I kind of imagined it. If you don't necessarily look at the cooldowns, you just look at the strength of the item that you're taking with you. Let's use the lowest one and the highest one possible so you can see a little bit of the difference. When you use Potion, it comes back in 20 seconds, but it is by far one of the worst held items you can bring into a match. So when I'm thinking speed boost, I'm not thinking about the amount of speed boost that comes in, it's the duration of the speed boost. So no matter whatever you bring in, you're still going to gain 50% speed increase for a time. Now, Potion, I can only imagine being like 5-10 seconds, something like that. But let's say you bring Goal Getter or Eject Button. Both of those are undisputably the best items that you can bring into any match, depending on the mon you choose to bring. Let's say you proc Eject Button. You would gain then a speed boost for over 15 to 20 seconds. Versus the 5 to 10 seconds with the Potion.
Okay, all right. I see where you're coming from now. That clears up a bit.
Yeah, it's not the power of the speed, it's the duration of the speed.
I don't have so much a question. I just want to. I liked both your guys' Unite moves. I think they were really creative.
Thank you. I like yours as well.
No, I'm debating. I'm throwing this on the table right now. How dare you make me follow you? That is absolute garbage, man. How am I supposed to follow that? That was so unique and so good. I even went off script to try to match you, and it was absolutely insane. I'm extremely proud of what you did with Plusle and Minen. So as everybody knows, Zapdos debuff. I'm interested to see what that's about. That's gonna come. That by the time you guys have seen this video, that will have already been released. Venusaur, Slowbro, Gengar, Pikachu. I think there's a little bit of meta shakeup here, and I'm almost considering doing another tier list once we get these mons figured out and stuff, and it'll have to be a short one this time. It's no part series. That was a little much, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you again for